Hello, my name is Albert Pearsall, and I'm a recently published author with Austin Macaulay Publishers. I want to thank you today for coming and visiting me on YouTube for me to discuss my new book, Fall from Grace, The Ascent and Fall of a Surgeon. Austin Macaulay, I'm very proud to be associated with. They have offices in New York, overseas in Australia, UAE, and London. I just want to give you a quick background of me, as the book is a chronicle of my life, my upbringing, the difficulties with which I became a surgeon, the conflicts and the adventurous childhood that I had, and then the terrible decision-making that I had that almost cost me my life. Let me give you a little background about myself. I am one of 4 boys raised in the 60s and 70s to a very strict and austere father. My father attended West Point, and my mother was very passive as she went to college on a music scholarship and then dropped out. The discipline and actions of that time were much different than they are today. We went to and from school unaccompanied, with little fear of abductions or kidnappings. At night in the summer, we would play outside with a 10 or 11 o'clock curfew with virtually no restrictions other than to stay out of trouble. We weren't really rich, but we weren't poor either. 4 boys, a year and a half apart, was a rather chaotic home. However, we never went out to eat much, and we never went on vacation except if it was somewhere within a drivable distance. Our summers were spent working hard as caddies at country clubs, as paper boys with bicycles, on loading docks, doing yard work and mowing, and then when we got older, as busboys at restaurants. Despite these extensive demands by my father, he also expected us to be prepared for high school athletics in the fall, and he demanded excellence in the classroom. I wouldn't say that our childhood was totally desperate, as we had a lot of fun and were rather mischievous as boys. Taping cars, tires, once being brought home with marijuana, running across into a field we were forbidden to get into to slide on cardboards down the hill, and then sure enough seeing the bull that we were warned about charging us and attempting to gore us. In addition, there was the craziness of my father, who was a single-engine flight pilot and took us on trips which we reluctantly wanted to go on. And on one occasion, my brother commenting, "Well, Dad, you realize you landed on the runway the incorrect way?" Not even looking up from his book, he commented, "It was poorly marked." At any rate, my father was very strict, and he imparted his martial law, quote-unquote, strictness with a wooden, lacquered, thick paddle that he obtained in college during fraternity times. That paddle, I can tell you, was very uncomfortable when addressed to an adolescent buttocks. And unfortunately, I knew that scenario all too often. We all grew up and eventually went to college. I went on to medical school, residency, and fellowship. As a surgeon, I then rose up the ranks in an academic environment and became a full tenured professor very quickly. By all accords, from the outside, I had everything: a great job, a well-paying job, a beautiful wife, 2 great kids, and the opportunity to travel the world and speak and perform surgery. However, due to poor decision-making and catastrophic mistakes, I almost self-destructed. I ended up losing my wife. My children wouldn't speak to me for 3 years. And on top of that, when I finally felt like I was making grounds, I ignored the multiple telltale signs of a narcissistic, revengeful girlfriend who tried to embarrass me in the courtroom and also tried to steal everything sacred from me. Eventually, I was also told that I would need a liver transplant or I would be dead within several months to a year. Finally, I went to New York and underwent a liver transplant from a 15-year-old donor in Missouri. And despite that arduous rehabilitation, that saved my life. I would like to say that this book, Fall from Grace, talks about the struggles and the successes and then battling back from a near-death experience and how I was able to cope with that. I think the readers will find Fall from Grace, The Ascent and Fall of a Surgeon, to be insightful, humorous, anecdotal, and reflective. There are instances in this book that I think are very entertaining and that the readers will enjoy. In conclusion, I hope the readers will glean positive information from this book and be able to reflect upon their own lives to see what things they can do and overcome obstacles despite the horrific circumstances surrounding them. Please give me feedback on Facebook, Amazon, and YouTube. Again, thank you very much.